This is Juliana Marulanda, founder of Scale Time, and I have been doing business operations for about 15 years. And in the last few, since I founded Scale Time, I have worked with 7 and 8 figure agencies to scale their agencies and have them operate without the founders. We do this by implementing systems and processes so they do not have to go through the grueling growing pains where you basically want to tear your hair out and lose your sanity. Because I am committed that people win no matter what the circumstances. And after working with hundreds of agencies and growing my own business, I learned that we succeed or fail based on the level of our systems. Today, we will go over the program and what it consists of, what to expect, and how to break through whatever plateau you're going through to level up yourself, your business, and your team. Now, the point of all of this is a business transformation, right? For how we operate the business and who you are in the business so that it can run without you. Now, if we think about taking your business and whatever it is on the left, right, to what is going to become on the right, right? On the right, we see your future. So we're going to take whatever Scotch tape systems you might have, or duct tape processes or any kind of chaos and really turn it into something that is organized, that there's visibility, and that the business, you have oversight over all aspects of it without being in the weeds of it. Now, I want to introduce you to the concept of the agency freedom framework. And this is what we want you to get at the end of this course. This is what we want for you so that you win no matter what. Our framework comprises of 3 components. There is a saleable process, as you can see on the left. And no matter what you do or what you're thinking about exit, I want you to take on this program as if a VC were coming to inspect and evaluate your business. I want you to have that type of mindset because it is a mindset of integrity and decision-making and an absolute intentionality with your business. Then on the bottom, we want to think about the right people. And the right people is basically also having a process so that you are qualifying, right, and entering the right type of clients for your brand and, trained and a talented team that fit your culture. And on the right, we have metrics, and metrics equals oversight, right? Because if you are able to know the numbers of your business, if you are able to know the performance of your individuals, then you have absolute oversight. And that means you're not suffering, during on-time deliverables. Your systems are not breaking due to volume upgrades. You're basically people-proofing your systems. And you have a business that doesn't rely any longer on you. And you can trust your people to do things faster and better than you could. And essentially, this is going to give us the ability to scale, set your team up to win, and run a business without you, that it is quality assured. And if you have this vision, amazing, because we are going to get you there. Now, some general housekeeping. The program runs over 1 quarter. You have access to the content portal, the community, and the implementation calls for life. You want to work your absolute hardest to execute this over the next 3 months. Now, 12 weeks will go by really quickly. So make sure you're in action, you're being intentional, and you take advantage of the community and the implementation calls. We will give you community access, and it will be available after week 2. And the reason we do that is because you'll get access to this amazing tribe of dope people, but we see sometimes people just starting to jump in and talk and communicate and network, which is totally natural, but they don't get the work done. And we need you to set yourselves up, for success and your team to creating the systems you need to achieve these results. Implementation calls happen weekly on Thursday mornings, Eastern Time. They'll be held by video conference call, and I want to make sure that you guys have your cameras on and you're ready to show and tell. So there's no excuses about, like bad hair days, t-shirts are welcome, PJs are welcomed, morning coffee is welcomed, pets and children running around. Like, I get it, you guys have lives, but there will be no hiding in this program. So I want you guys to be really, really prepared to implement, because that is what these calls are for. Now, you cannot grow what you don't measure. So make sure you're participating in our mini assessments and surveys throughout the course. They'll basically unlock your content and make sure that you guys are on the right track. Now, like any training or learning, 33% is content driven, right? It's content consumption. 33% is interaction with your community, including your team. And the other 33% is implementing and iterating. So make sure you join the conversation in the community and you're attending the implementation calls. Make sure you join those calls. Don't be shy, because it really will kick your ass later. Make sure once you get access to community that you're in there, that you're asking questions, that you're answering questions, and you're learning and championing each other, because this is priceless. And being in a community where everyone is at the top of their game, they're on the cutting edge, everyone is competitive, and you're leveling up together, that is priceless. So how do we get help and support? Now, one is by watching the training videos and doing the work. You can search for answers in our community. You can ask your questions in the community, and I encourage you to use the hashtag question so that other people can easily search and answer you. Also, you can go ahead and answer other people's questions so that you're supporting them and you're helping out the community in return, and you're championing each other. Attending the weekly implementation calls. And if none of these methods work, then go ahead and shoot an email to results@scaletime.co, and one of my systems ninjas will absolutely go in and help out as soon as they can. All right, so I want you to remember a couple of things as you're going through this program. And remember, I want you to have that VC mindset. So first things first is that there are no silver bullets here, and there are no magical unicorns. All right? Everything you learn will be fundamental to your growth, and it's gonna take some work. So some of it will challenge you and push you completely out of your comfort zone. So I want you to get in the zone, get your team on board, and start implementing. Zero excuses. Your results are a direct correlation of what you put your focus on. You're responsible for where your business is right now, and you'll be responsible for the results that you get in this program. I want you to remember that your business is exactly how you design it. And the amazing thing about this program is that we get to redesign. I want you to embrace the discomfort. You are choosing to step up your game, and with any new breakthrough, there is going to be breakdowns. That is expected. And a sword can only be forged under fire. So embrace the discomfort and all of that comes with it, because know that you are expanding. Lastly, execute. If you show up to the trainings, you watch the videos and take notes, but you don't work, you don't execute, you don't implement, then nothing is going to change. And you'll have the exact same results you do now. Right? So remember, if we're not actually implementing systems and processes, then all you're doing is talking about them. And what we want is for you guys to get results and see progress. There is a formula for failure. And if you notice yourself doing any of the following things, I want you to jump back and start doing the work. Now, what are those things? We have seen members absolutely fail when they feel like, they know everything. And without being in a beginner's mindset, it's really hard to expand. Other things are using interaction as a replacement for success and results. We want you to network, we want you to interact with others and be part of the community, but not in place of actually implementing the work. Asking questions about the academics of things. When we see someone getting too into the weeds of the intellectualness of things, of causality and why X equals Y or why Y is a function of Z, instead of actually executing, then you're spending a lot of time thoughting and not enough time implementing. People don't do that well when they start giving advice before implementing something. And not only does it damage their own results, but it damages others in the community. Not asking for help during implementation calls and then demanding one-on-one support. Right? We can only help you with iteration. So we need you to really take it on to start, getting dirty, putting in the work, and then we will help you every single step of the way and support you. Telling stories instead of asking questions. Stories hold us back. And if you execute, then we get to see the data. And with the data and with actual, processes in place, then you can start asking questions. You're on the court and you're playing full on. Individuals who are playing the blame game instead of taking full responsibilities. People who, play the victim and blame everything on everyone but themselves. You guys are fully responsible for your businesses. That is the only way to win. And lastly, resisting the process of creating time and capacity instead of really embracing the freedom that the process gives you. If you let the process become a back burner issue, your life will be putting out fires and you'll not create any capacity for your team or freedom for yourself. And this is the goal. Now remember, guys, you're going to basically want to do everything except the work to create systems and processes with your team. I have seen the resistance and it is hardcore. Sometimes the struggle is really real, but we are here to support you in the program. A few other things. I want you to know that failure doesn't exist. It is only feedback. Some things we will try and fail the first time. For example, most team members will resist change. If you're doing a massive hiring, first round of interviews will probably bomb. But this will give us the data to iterate and course correct. All right, we're looking for progress. Comfort kills. Know that you won't hit perfection and take massive action. Your client onboarding will feel imperfect, your team training will feel imperfect, your lead management will feel imperfect. That's what massive growth feels like. It's expansion. And as you scale, this expansion and this imperfection and this discomfort will start to feel normal. What you're looking for is workability. willing to do whatever it takes. You cannot get new results with old habits. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And we will always be straight with you. If you're going to complain, right, B&W is bitching and whining, we will tell you to throw in the towel and work for someone else. And some of you are like, I will never work for someone else, which is awesome, which is why we need you to follow the process. Because freedom never came to complainers. Now, some pitfalls to watch out for. Team resistance. Mentioned this already a couple of times and alluded to it, but expect yourself and your team to resist creating systems. Your results are directly correlated to your execution. So what you're going to do today, right after this video, is a systems gladiator to help you manage the work of this program. I want you to remember that before process comes habit. Habit before process. Any process that gets implemented has to be created, managed, and reviewed. You must make sure that whoever's managing sales puts time in the calendar to manage leads in the CRM. Whoever manages deliverables puts time in the calendar to project manage and look at backlog. Make sure that you and your people are creating the habits that are going to manage and review the processes that are putting in place. Process before automation. You will waste time, energy, and money if you try to create integrations, APIs in your business applications without having a process first. I know it sounds sexy. There's a lot of people tooting their horn on automation with cookie cutter automations, but you're going to still have to manage them, and those automations are not people proof. Spending time on lead gen, if you are at capacity, is a surefire way to bleed your cost of acquisition, new clients, new sales, new deals, and lose clients because you do not have the ability to deliver. You're already at capacity. You need to create efficiency so that you can spend time on lead gen. But until then, if you put one before the other, you're just going to lose a lot of money. As people put themselves through these programs, new endeavors, and they start to take these risks, they have these nagging thoughts of, like, will this actually work? And what I would like to tell you is that after working with hundreds of agencies, developing this exact process is how I know that this is going to work. Like, Greg went through this process and he removed himself from the business and was able to check in with his team in Costa Rica for 15 minutes when he was, hanging out with birds and turtles and his girlfriend for just 15 minutes and 7 days. We have Jean, who basically fell back in love with her business and had enough time to be a contributor for Forbes, which is really amazing because as a writer and having a copywriting agency, this is what she wanted, right? Not only that, but she was able to create enough recurring revenue and hit her recurring revenue goals to cover her overhead so she could also travel, get proposals, down to like 12 minutes, and basically fell back in love with her agency. So if they can do it, so can you. And so have hundreds of other agencies that we've worked with. So we can definitely make sure that you're offloading everything that you possibly can to make sure that this business is operating without you. There is no reason why you can't start creating capacity this week. I expect greatness from this group. Now, I have talked to all of you one-on-one, or someone from my team has, and there is no reason why you can't delegate 40 hours from your work week before this training is over. Like, seriously. What can I do right now, this month, this week, this day, this hour, to get stuff off my plate? That is the question that needs to be on your mind. Now, keep in mind that the only thing I want you to be doing is getting stuff offloaded and measuring the performance of it once it's gone. Those two things, right? I want those two things to be at the forefront of your mind throughout this entire program. They are the only things that will have you successfully and sustainably running the business without you. If you're in the weeds, that is not a statement that could ever be a fact. Your time spent on anything that isn't a revenue generating activity is costing your business massive growth. So remember, anything that's not revenue generating, or anything that, or if you've already delegated all of your revenue generating stuff and you're good to go, I want you to think about what else you need to offload to hit your goals. And know that your life, your team, even maybe your spouse, your significant others, everything will pull you away from executing and delegating. So I want your focus to be on delegation, execution, and oversight right now. I will see you in the next training.